I've made a few videos on the Houston Rockets this offseason, and one thing that we have not yet talked about is the secret weapon that they have that nobody's really talking about. Everybody for the Rockets this season is talking about their offseason moves. Amen Thompson's great, Cam Whitmore, cool, steal of the draft. Fred VanVleet, interesting contract, we'll talk about it. And then, you got Jalen Green, you got Alpren Sengun that everyone is talking about for the Rockets, but nobody mentions Jabari Smith Jr. My number one prospect in last year's draft. I think he's going to have a big-time year this year. We're going to talk about that and much, much more, so make sure you stick around for the full video, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below. All three things will really help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And like I said, hit that subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed. About 96-97% of my audience is not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead and fix that right now if you are not. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started looking at, obviously the huge winners of the offseason, the Houston Rockets. But they have a blueprint. They bring in Ime Udoka, who in Boston was really, really good with his wings. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum really blossomed into one of the best duos in the East after, say, the trade deadline. And he's got that ability to make this duo or trio here again in Houston. He's got Cam Whitmore, who we will talk about in depth later when we look at the draft picks. He's got Tari Eason, who last year, first-round pick, averaged 9.3 points, 6 rebounds, 1.1 assists per game last year. He had a solid rookie year, especially for a guy getting, spot minutes here and there at the beginning of the year. 45% from the field, 34% from 3, 1.2 steals per game. He's looking like a guy that I think is going to take a big-time step this year. Maybe he gets a little overshadowed by like a Jabari Smith Jr., but 22 years old this year. He got 22 minutes a game last year. You saw what he did. I think he can have a big year this year. Now we come to the main topic of today's video, Jabari Smith Jr., who had, for the number 3 pick, my number 1 overall prospect, potentially somewhat of a disappointing year. Only 13 points, 7 rebounds, 41% from the field, 31% from 3. But now he has a true point guard facilitating the basketball, running the offense for him. I think that'll make things a little bit easier for him. And at 6'11", the body type, Tatum, KD-like with the tall length, ability to shoot it. Hopefully we see a big-time jump for Jabari in year 2 so I don't lose complete credibility when I'm making my mock draft videos. Now, let's take a look at their draft class. They first get Amen Thompson, a 6'7" elite two-way playmaker. Absolutely elite slasher and an elite defender as well. He's going to step into the NBA and he's going to be a top 10 athlete in the league, which you don't see that very often. Especially not a guy that is a top 10 athlete but can also absolutely lock down at 6'7" with that long wingspan, and he's a great facilitator. Both him and Azar are great facilitators, but Amen, he's probably the better of the two. And just look at the amount. It's like a quarterback in the NFL. Look at who all he has to pass to. He may only average 10 points, in a few years, but he might average 15 or 16 assists a game. That is, I think that is the ability or the potential that this man, Amen Thompson, has. And then they got a steal at number 20 with Cam Whitmore. Super athletic, 6'7" wing. Another two-way guy because he can really defend as well as score the rock. We saw him at Villanova this year. Really a two-way guy. Good three-point shooter. He's a tough shot maker, but, that comes as a double-edged sword because he does take some dumb shots sometimes. So that can get fixed up a little bit, but Cam Whitmore, I think, is going to be a stud for the Houston Rockets here. And then I think something that's a bit of an overreaction is the Fred VanVleet contract. It's really a 2-year deal. Now, sure, it kind of stunts the development of Amen Thompson right off the bat, but even if they do accept the team option, it's only a 3-year, $130 million deal. I say only, but it's got that team option. Will definitely not get accepted. 19.3 points a game, 7.2 assists, few rebounds as well. For an undersized guard, shout out to him. He made it. 39% from the field, though, 34% from 3, 1.8 steals a game. Not great efficiency last year. The steals were good. Like I said, for an undersized guard, he's a good defender, but he's got to be way more efficient next year. And I don't know if that's, completely possible. Now, for Dillon Brooks, one of the best, probably the best perimeter defender on the market this year. He was a great perimeter defender, like I said. He can score it a little bit, but much more of a defender. He's just got to learn who to talk to. Don't talk to Braun like that. He averaged about 14 points a game last year, like 39% from the field. So you got to control that shot selection for sure. Definitely a guy that could really help them out, but could also hurt them a little bit. But I think for 4 years, he's going to come in, be the lead defender on this team. Him and Amin Thompson is going to be a great defensive duo. They also signed Jock Landale and Jeff Green to contracts to beef up that bench and, to bring a veteran presence to the locker room. They were also supposed to have Brook Lopez, but he bailed on him last second. And again, the contracts of Dillon Brooks and especially Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet, that contract is done in 2 years. So by the time the 2025 season rolls around, he'll be off the books, and then you'll start to pay Jalen Green and Alpren Sengun and all of them. Dillon Brooks, it's only 4 years, $90 million. In this day and age, it's not as much as it sounds like. Now, KPJ, what is his role going to be next year? Could he be the odd man out? I mean, I don't see how you just completely bench the guy. He averaged 19.2 points, 5.7 assists, 5.3 rebounds. He was good last year for the Houston Rockets. 44% from the field, 37% from three, and 1.4 steals a night. I think for KPJ, he's going to have to be the sixth man coming off the bench. Running the point guard spot, he never truly developed into what we thought he could be. That was definitely a walk. He averaged 3.2 turnovers a game, so I think the best move for him is to be a backup wing coming off the bench as the sixth man that can really score the ball, and I think he would thrive in that role. Just kind of in, a spark plug role off the bench. They can come in, microwave role, and really, really get it going if the offense is slacking. And then you got Alpren Sengun, who we haven't even talked about, could be the best player on this team next year. That's how good I have, or how high I am on him. 15 points a game, 9 rebounds, 5 assists last year. Miniature Nikola Jokic. 1 steal, 1 block, 29 minutes a game. And oh, by the way, he was 6'9" when the Rockets drafted him. He is now listed at 6'11" going into his third year in the league. 55% from the field last year, 34% from three on 1 attempt a game, which is something to monitor because he's trying to expand his offensive arsenal beyond the three-point line. Again, only 21 years old. The dude's still growing. That's how young he is. So we shall see. But I think Alpren Sengun is going to be a big role for them, or is going to have a big role for them next year. Like I said, potentially their best player. And then Jalen Green could be a guy that just absolutely breaks out. Now, you look at the stat line and you're wondering, how is this guy going to break out even more? Well, it doesn't have to do with the stats. It's just, can he be more efficient? I don't care if he averages the same exact stat line next year, as long as he's shooting at 47% from the field and like 36 or 7% from three. That would be a good stat line. That would be a breakout year for Jalen Green because he's showing he can be efficient and put up big numbers at the same time. Right now, he's putting up big numbers on bad efficiency, and that is not the move whatsoever. If you're a Houston Rockets fan, the next step for Jalen is efficiency. It doesn't matter how many points he averages next year. Now, let's take a look at the lineups heading into next year. I think this is kind of the consensus when it comes to the starting lineup for the Houston Rockets. VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alpren Sengun. And this is probably the best young starting lineup in the NBA, considering you have like 3 guys under the age of 22. Dillon Brooks, I think he's really going to help this team out as the starting small forward because he can really defend. VanVleet, like I said, not the greatest defender in the world. Once they put Amin Thompson in there, then that'll be really, really nice because you got Amin and Dillon Brooks as your 2 wing defenders, and then you got Jalen Green as a scorer. Down low, Sengun and Jabari Smith Jr. can hold their own. And Ime Udoka is a really good defensive coach as well. So I think that the wings and the defense is going to thrive while Udoka is here. You look at the bench, they also have Jeff Green, but KPJ as the 6th man, and then the 2 rookies, and Tari Eason and Jock Landale. This team is kind of stacked, I'm not going to lie. Imagine if they brought in Brook Lopez. Might be, a finals contender in a couple years as long as he doesn't regress too much. But with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on the Houston Rockets. How good do you think they can be? And with all that being said, make sure to like button, hit the subscribe button. And thank you so much for watching today's video.